Okay. So this is a code. So we have to what is that? Specify the provider. That's mandatory for us. Provider information is must. So once it is done, so how we initialize that code? We used to say that Terraform init. So which downloads the plugin for this particular provider. Right? So Terraform init is mandatory. That too, it's one-time activity. So it's going to download all the plugins based on the provider. Yeah. Can use that. So, and this is the resource type. We're trying to launch EC2 instance. So these things we should get from Terraform documentation. See, even I should refer these things from the documentation. And this is a logical name or some, yeah, that's some our own friendly name actually. We'll see where these friendly names are useful for us. But for now, right? Amazon machine image ID, this is the one, and instance type, this is the one. So as we discussed earlier also, right? This is specific to region. So if you're trying to launch Amazon Linux, this ID is different for different regions. So I have picked up this ID from this region. So it should work. So if you pick up these things from the different region, it won't work. So right. So I want to run this code. See, for writing the code, we are using Atom. For execution, I'm doing it from the terminal. Or in your case, you can do it from git bash or command prompt. So Terraform applied. So even I want to add tags for this. Name tag. I want to add one more saying batch. Batch. Today we are 7 a.m. So this is when we create a tag, it accepts key and value. You guys remember that. I'll show it here. So while launching an instance, we choose this, that's mandatory, and the region, it's already selected in the browser. Type, and if I don't select any of these things, it gets into default VPC, all those stuff, storage, tags, right? When I set tag, key, and the value, correct? Same thing I'm giving here. Key is name, value is Terraform, and key is batch, value is 7. So Terraform apply. So this command, what this command does, it reads all your Terraform files in the current directory. So right now we have only one. So I'm repeating it. So this particular command, right? It reads all TF files. I'm repeating that again for you. It will not care about the name of the files. It only cares about the extension of the files. It loads all .tf files and it will start processing those files for you. So if you can see this one, it's giving some information there. So it's saying this is the AMI and two are the tags, right? Plus instance type is this, and remaining things I didn't provide there. Subnet ID I'm not giving. Security groups I'm not specifying. Public IP, DNS, private IP. I'm not specifying all the values here. So yeah, see this one. Apply complete. So apply complete. Resources added is 1, modified is 0, and destroyed is 0. If you go and check your account in this region, there should be one instance created for us. Can you see this? So name tag I gave Terraform. So it's named as Terraform. and this is the instance ID, instance state, and so on. If you go and check tags, see both are there. Batch is there, name is also there for us. Clear? Yes. So this Terraform code has created EC2 instance for us.
But we haven't provided the provider access means
It's already configured with CLI, correct?
we are always we are always done the same thing, but we are not able to launch the instance without providing the access means.
No, we can. So I am doing right now.
Yeah.
It works. So probably you didn't configure it properly, otherwise it should work.
If I have configured access key to secret key, by default we have configured. There might be the some other user tomorrow is coming into the picture. With the same target. He will add the new user. Again,
No.
he needs to.
This is your development mission, right?
Yeah, in the organization, if they are providing the system to us,
Yes.
the same case, I will configure one access key and secret key for that particular
System.
laptop.
Okay.
Similarly, there might be tomorrow you can ask another user.
Okay.
He will have the some other access key in the secret key. He will configure that also.
On same machine?
On same machine.
How it works, sir?
We can add the user.
1 second. If this is my laptop, why I'm going to give it to you? Correct. Everybody has their own laptops, right? And everybody can use same access keys and secret keys also. I can create one a Terraform admin. I'll share same access keys and secret keys for everybody. That is dangerous actually. Sharing access key, secret key with multiple people is risk. But what I can do is I can set up some workstations on the EC2 itself. I'll ask all of you to work on EC2. I'll assign a row. So no one will see what is the access key, secret key. And even there are other options. You will see that. Okay, so this is your EC2 instance launched by Terraform. So if you want to get more details about this, for example, you want to see more attributes about this resource, correct? You go and check documentation. Let me show how to check the documentation. Terraform EC2 instance. Open this page. So forget about these things now. See the attributes or see the properties it supports. AMI, which is mandatory. Availability zone is optional. Placement group is optional. Tenancy is optional. Right? So you can supply all these values actually. You can supply all these values to the Terraform and you can create. Let's say I want to launch EC2 instance with existing key. So there is an option called as key name. So go there, key name, right? So this is existing. Hurry, open demo. So where I can check this in the account. Key pairs. So these are the available key pairs. So hurry demo I have been using. So I can just specify that hurry demo. Now if I apply the changes, so can I add a key for the existing EC2 instance? So I have an instance EC2. While launching, let's say I said I don't need a key. Now I want to attach a key. Is it possible? It's not possible. So now, if I apply it, what's going to happen here? You see, I launched instance without a key. Now I'm telling my Terraform for this instance, to create a new one. Alright, it creates a new instance there. It's going to terminate the old one and it's going to create a new one. But again, I will explain more on this. Don't assume every time it terminates when we modify. No. There are certain cases where it terminates existing instance. I'm going to launch the new instance. But certain cases, it will update the same instance. But key pair, right? So if you want to assign a key pair, There is no option to do that for the existing instances. The only option is create a similar one and select a key and terminate the old one. See this, it's destroying it. So why? Because it can't attach SSH key for the existing instance. It's going to destroy first, then it's going to relaunch a new one with this key. Okay, so let it work. So let's see how to create a new key. So while launching, we say, I want a new key, right? Key pair. Let's see how to create an instance with new key pair. Let's see. Destruction completed and it started with creation. In the screen, you must see a new one which is coming up there. Let's see this one. And see, Idempotency is the key which is associated. So this example shows how to attach existing key. So what if you want to create a new key? Shall we go and do that? So this is fine. But I want to create a new key and I want to attach this new key to my instance. The process is this. So first we need to generate public and private keys. Public and private keys. So this can be done from SSH clients. If you have putty, you can do it from putty also. Or if you have a git bash, you can do it from git bash. In my case, I can do it from terminal. My what is that? My operating system is built on top of Linux only. It's a Mac OS, but it's built on top of Linux. So whatever we see in Linux, most of the stuff exists in this Mac. So this SSH client is also inbuilt. In your case, you must have that git bash or some other tool which supports that SSH. Okay. So SSH keygen. This is the command. The file name is this. So I want to create a key pair with the file name tf-demo. This particular command generates two things for you, public key and private. So enter passphrase, don't enter anything. If you enter something, it lost that password when you do this. When you use this SSH, I don't want that to be in the interactive mode. Okay. Can you see this one? The identification has been saved to this, which is your private key, and your public key has been saved to tf-demo.pub. That is your public key. So can you see this here? Public, private. I need to configure this public key in EC2. I can use this private key and access from my machine. That is how it works even when you launch instance from console. So when you say launch, right, in the last page, there's option to select create new key pair. So when I say new key pair, we're going to give a name, key pair name. And when you say launch, what happens in the background? It generates public and private keys. Private keys downloaded by us. So your Amazon, right, it configures the public key in the instance. Same thing we have to do from Terraform. Resource AWS key pair. I'll go through documentation. Terraform EC2 key pair. So there is a resource called as key pair. This is if you, it's all about copy pasting. That's all. The resource, type of the resource, logical name of the resource. Let me say TF. So this is the name. This is the name. This is the public key. You can see that one. So this particular resource, right, is taking the name of the key and public key of that particular key. And I want to link this public key with my instance. With my instance. So I need to link this guy into this instance now. So I will replace this. This is not correct. I should not put this text directly into this. What is that? File. So I need to move this into some file and import from that file. Let's come back to EC2 instance now. Is there a way to search here? AWS instance. Okay. So do you see key name? Sorry, this is the key name. This is the key name. So which one I should get? This one. So I need to refer the other resource here. Correct? Understanding or not? If something is confusing, stop with this. So this resource is representing a key which has public key. So I want to configure this public key for my EC2. Once it is configured, right, I can log into this machine using my private key which is on my local machine. So here it's expecting a key name, but I need to specify the key name of this. I need to refer that name here. For that, we have a syntax like this. So dollar open close curly brace. We call this one as interpolation. The Terraform interpolation. So using this is kind of expression. Using this expression, I can refer the attributes of other resources. Like this. Say I want to refer the name of this key pair. The syntax is like this: resource type dot its logical name dot its attribute name. So I need the key name, right? So what I need to check, right, in the documentation of this, so read the documentation of this, it exposes some attributes. One of the attribute is going to be the name of the key. That attribute I need to mention here. You can see this one. The following attributes are exported. I'm talking about key pair. So when you use this one, these are the properties it expects, and once this is done, these are the attributes which are exported, meaning I can import these names in a different resource there. So what I need there? Key name in our case. Key name. Clear? Clear, right? So one resource is to define the public key type or public key information. In the EC2, I want to specify the key. If it is if it's an existing key, I can directly mention the name of it. But it's not an existing key. So I need to pick up the name from the other resource. For picking up the value from other resource, right, there is a syntax, we call this one as interpolation. So inside double quotes, dollar, open, close curly braces. Inside that, the resource type, resource name, and in that resource, key name. In that resource key name. So this is not a valid public key because I copy pasted from the internet. I need to replace this one with my public key. Yeah, I will do that. So whatever public key we generated now. So cat df.pub. So I need to keep this public key in that string. Public key in that string. Obviously, right? I can't keep someone else public key there, right? If I do that, they can access my machine. So I should keep my public key there. Let me use it. Let me first execute the code. Then we'll see how to improve it.
In this situation,
I'll show. You guys attended SSH session for Linux. Today also we have a session. 11 o'clock, please try to attend that one. Because the basics of Linux and SSH is very important for us. I'll explain that today. Where it is stored, I'll explain. But again, same resource, I'm trying to do some changes. Now the changes are again key name. When you do key name change, what it's going to do? Terminate, recreate. Terminate and create it. See that apply. So what it does in EC2, under EC2 user, there is .ssh folder. Under .ssh folder, there is authorized keys. One file called as authorized keys. In that file, it will place this public.
in the same place, ECT key can also.
Yes. Yes, correct. So because we are changing public key, it is destroying it. And it's recreating that instance for us. Better ask as much doubts as possible in the beginning itself. Get more clarity before we reach advanced concepts. So let this happen, but I don't want this. I don't want to put this big string in that attribute value. I want to get this data from a file. This data is already there in the file, right? So I want to get this data from a file. For that also we have some functions. Terraform has some functions. There is a function called as file. Let's see how to use it. By using this file, I can get the content from a file. Instead of copy pasting that here, I can refer the content from the file.
What about the there is an instance which is running with the same AMI?
I'll come back. I'll explain that. So, Terraform, what I'm trying to say, file, file function. So So can you see this? This is a built-in function. There are some built-in functions, we can use them part of a code. So this is the interpolation file, path of the file. So I can replace this guy with that interpolation. So where is my file now? In the same directory, there is a public key. Let's create it. Let's see that. See, there is tf demo dot. This is the recommended way of doing it. So don't directly put it in the value. So import this one from your file. One moment. Before doing this change, two resources added. What is that two resources? One is EC2, other one is key, public key. So can I log into this machine now? Yes, we can. Refresh that. I think one. Yeah, TF demo, that's one. So does it has public IP? Yes, it has public IP. So shall we try to SSH into this? SSH -I. Where is that private key? Here itself. The extension is not .pen. It is just a file name. EC2-user at That's clear? So this is your pen file. That is your private key. Yes, we're able to log in there. Correct. This is the example to create an instance with new public key, and the previous example shows how to launch instance with existing public key. So now I'm slightly changing the code. This one. So I want to see what is the output of this before execution. Should I explain more on these functions and all? Okay. You understood this one at least? So we are trying to reference an attribute of a different resource. The syntax is common. Dollar open close curly brace. Keep that syntax as fixed. Dollar close open close curly brace. Inside that, type of the resource dot logical name dot its attribute. So please remember this. Dollar close open curly brace resource type dot logical name dot attribute. So please make note of this. So I want to access an attribute of a resource. The syntax is this. So the interpolation like dollar open close curly brace. Inside that, first part is resource type. Dot its logical name. Dot its attribute. This is syntax. So in this case, right, the resource type is this. See this one. AWS key pair is the resource type. Resource type. And its logical name. TF underscore demo. Dot TF underscore demo. Dot its attribute. So when we check the documentation, it's exporting one or two attributes there. One attribute is key name. And it has to be inside quotes. So that's a use case for logical name. We are going to actually see if I have two key pairs, for example, one is TF demo, the other one is Hari demo, and the logical name is going to be different, but the resource type is going to be same, right? Let's say I want to use one more key pair for a different instance. I'm going to copy paste it. Maybe I'm going to call this one as Java Home Demo and Java Home Demo like this, and its key, for example. So how to refer this particular Java Home Demo key name? Instance type, sorry, resource type, that is AWS underscore key underscore pair. Its logical name dot Java underscore demo plus its attribute which is a key name. That is a format. This is one interpolation. The second one is file is a function. It takes the file path, returns the content of that file. See, man, this is your interpolation. That's a name. So we call it as Terraform interpolation. So inside that we are calling a function. What is that function? File. What argument it takes? Path of your file. What it returns? Content of the file. So I'm taking the public key content. I'm assigning that to my attribute called as public. See, can I go and apply this? I can. But if there are some errors with this, it will throw errors. So before throwing error, I want to check what this particular interpolation returns. So understanding my point. That's I did some mistake here. I don't want to run and wait for that system to throw an exception. So before that, I want to see what this particular value is going to return for us. That facility is also there for us. The option is this. Let's come out of it. Terraform console. Okay. EC2 instance. Oh, this one. That's not correct, right? Terraform console. See, we got into the console. So from this console, you can go and check your interpolation outputs. I want to see what is output of this. So copy the complete stuff there and paste it. And see that what is returning? The public key. So troubleshooting, all those things can be done with help of Terraform console. And I want to see what this is returning for me. Can I check that? Yeah, you can. What that returns for me? TF demo. Correct? So keep note of this Terraform console. So when you work with interpolations, you can see what value that interpolation is going to return back. Next one, user data. I don't think so. I should talk each and everything, but I'm trying to do that. So all of us know user data. So how to configure user data with Terraform again? See, before getting into that, let me talk a little more on this.
Someone files are saved somewhere.
Which one?
This Terraform files. Did you save all the files?
Yeah, I'm saving it on my local machine. You want that as a reference?
Yes.
Okay, it's saved. Everything may not be said because I will give the video. Go through that. You can follow the video and do that. So, yeah, before that, if I do Terraform apply again, I didn't change anything. I provisioned it and again I do Terraform apply. Yeah, this is wrong. Without doing any modifications, if I try to apply again and again, what Terraform is going to do? Is it going to create a new resources? No. See this. It didn't add any resources, even it didn't change any resources, or it didn't destroy any resources. So Terraform is idempotent, meaning, so if you try to apply again and again, it won't give any side effects. So I didn't modify anything, and I ran Terraform apply again. It's not changing anything there. Why it's not changing anything there? It is somewhere maintaining the information about all the resources it's created. So in our case, it created two resources. One is this public key, other one is instance. So Terraform stores that information in the local. So when you go and say apply, it check for these instances in the account. If these resources exist, it won't recreate them again. See, can you see this one? So when you say Terraform apply, it is trying to refresh. This is the ID. It is checking for a public key with this ID. If present, don't recreate. Again, it's checking for instance with this ID. If this instance with this ID exists, don't recreate it. So please make that point. Terraform is idempotent. So running Terraform apply multiple times will not cause any side effects. Idempotent. Idempotent. Terraform is idempotent. So that is running Terraform apply multiple times won't cause any side effects. There's no side effect. If you change the code, accordingly it will change your resources. That's a different story. Without changing, if you try to run it again and again, there is no issues. Now let's see uh, how to configure a web server using user data. So I want to use same instance. There is a column, a property called as user data. I can't mention user data scripts inline here like this. See, beginning of the user data, ending of the user data. That's syntax there. So in this, I can mention all my keys, all my what is that? Commands. I can say that's a shebang line, right? Which tells your OS these are shell commands. So interpret those things using shell. And we say yum install httpd-y. Then we say yum, not yum, service start. What's the other one? Check config httpd on. And if I want to create a dummy, what is that? Dummy file, we also can do that with help of echo deployed by Terraform. Yeah. This is user data. So beginning of the scripts, ending of the scripts. But again, if I have 100 lines of script, is it a good practice to keep it here? It's not a good practice to keep it here. What's the solution now? Put it in a file. Using that file function, definitely.
Slashes.
Bin. So let me take out from here. So let me create a file called as install httpd dot sh. File name your choice. Paste that code. Everything is fine, right? Yum install httpd -y service check config. Everything looks fine for me.
We have to read it.
Ah, echo. I need to put the redirection here. Where www html slash index dot. Yeah. So install underscore httpd dot sh. So this I don't want now. So which function we have to use? That function we have to use. So this is going to be install httpd dot sh. Okay. Shall we try this? Let's try this. So Terraform apply. So again, when you change user data, it will recreate. Why? Because user data works only at launch time. Yes or no? So when you put a user data, that script is executed only once in its lifetime, that is at the time of launching. So now previously my instance doesn't have user data. Now I'm giving user data. What Terraform does, terminates existing one and it's going to create a new one with this user data. See, even before my Terraform tells, these are, I'm destroying this. I want to see what it's going to actually do. There is a command called as Terraform plan. So it won't apply the changes. It will tell if you apply what exactly it's going to do. So these commands are really helpful when you work in the real time. Just let's say you ran a command, it destroyed something, and you're in trouble. Instead of being in trouble, go and check this command saying Terraform plan. This command tells you what kind of changes your Terraform going to do when you say Terraform apply. This will give you a plan, what exactly it's going to do. It's not going to do it now. That's refreshing all the resources. And accordingly, it will tell you what it's going to do when you say Terraform apply. So user data. Can you see this text? What it says there? Forces new resource. Okay. It says new resource is required. So if new resource is required, what happens to the old one? Terminate. So Terraform plan. Please note all the commands there. Now I am fine with that. I know it's going to terminate. I am fine with that. Take assignments. So using Terraform, execute a script. Using Terraform, execute a script on EC2 instance. So we're done. See this added one, deleted one. So refresh it. I think this is the one which is freshly created. So if you go and hit this IP, so let's wait for a while. So we install HTTPD, right? If I hit this, it should respond me saying deployed by Terraform. That's what we kept in index.html. Okay. If you're not able to access, where to check that? Some typo? The connectivity issues where we check. See, no. I mean, probably it is blocked by your security group. So we need to go and check the security group first. It accepts all. Huh? Internet gateway. Thing is connecting. There's a connection. Let's wait for some more time. Yeah, I'm letting it. But uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Install S2 that's fine.
Not the
Come again? I didn't get the point. Which line? I created 4 W's. No. This will come only later. Everything is fine, but I gave 4. That's a problem. But anyways, there's a default response coming from my Apache. If I correct this, obviously everything will work fine for me. But let me correct it. But I'm not trying it again. But you guys know how it works now. That's about user data. So anything apart from this you need, right? You have to go and check the documentation and implement your code. So next, Terraform variables. Terraform variables. So this code is fine, but the problem is, can we reuse this code? Let's say I want to create an instance with different AMI. I need to change my code. Right? Without changing this code, is there a way to reuse it? Yes. Now, difficult. It's not maintainable code, right? See, today I have 20 lines. Tomorrow I may be having hundreds of lines. Right? If the problem here is directly I am mentioning AMIs, instance types, key names, or those things here. Now, it is best idea, it's good idea to parameterize them. So declare these things in the variables and refer those things into this values, such that right tomorrow I want to create, I want to recreate the environment with different AMI or with different instance type. So I can just change the variable instead of changing the code here. So maybe let's say I'm creating 10 instances now. In 10 places I'm referring same AMI. Let's say I'm doing copy paste work, for example. I want to set up 10 instances. I copy pasted it. In every instance there is AMI, AMI, right? It has at 10 different places. Tomorrow I want to change my AMI or I want to change my instance type. Then how? I need to find out all the places and replace it. But this is not the right way. We need to use variables for this. Variables, yeah. Let's talk about variables now. Variable, variable name, its value. And again, interpolation comes into picture. Dollar, open, close curly brace. Now it is var dot variable name. Can you see this one? So it's beginning with var, meaning we are referring to a variable. If it is beginning with resource type, we are referring to a resource. Likewise, for this T2 micro also, I need to declare one more variable there. Yeah. So instance type. T2 micro. Instance type is T2 micro. See, names your choice. Variable names your choice. But when you refer, provide the same name. That's all. So no need to maintain same names here. It can be anything. And I'm repeating that. It can be any name. When you refer it, use the same. So I want instance type here. So you can copy paste it. So in place of AMI, var dot instance type.
So var is the
Keyword, yes. So we're telling our interpolation, I want to refer a variable whose name is AMI. I want to refer a variable whose name is instance type. And these things are fine. Then if you want to, this is okay. I don't think so this you can parameterize. And second point is, everything we are keeping in one single file. That's again a problem. So when in the beginning everything looks simple, easy. When your project grows with lots of resources and it becomes clumsy for you. So don't keep everything into a single file. Better break your project into multiple files. See, already we did some breakup. See this install HTTPD I kept in a different file. So likewise, variables keep it in a separate file. Providers, separate file. Instances, separate file. VPCs, separate file. Let's say simple notification service, separate file. So it's a good practice to break your code into different folders and different files. Shall I do it?
Yes.
So now I want to take these variables and keep it in a separate location. Why? Because if you have 100 files tomorrow and you want to change some variable, you don't know which file that variable contains or in which file this variable is present, right? The best practice is keep it in a separate file like this. Vars .tf. Again, remember, extension must be .tf. So vars.tf. And take all these variables from here, move it to here. Is this fine for you? So ignore the remaining files here. I'll talk about them later. Even ignore this directory. There's a plugin directory there. So only concentrate on this instance, install, and your public and private keys. Don't keep private key in the code. That should be somewhere else. And that's here. And this file contains only variables. Tomorrow, if there is a change for the variable, you know which file to open, where to modify. It will be easy. Okay. I didn't change any code. I only followed some best practices there. So here I kept, what is that? It was hard coded early. I replaced that one with a variable. Shall I go and apply now? So before applying, I want to see what kind of changes apply is going to do. What's the command number? I don't think it's going to create new resources. It's checking that this key pair. If it is there, it won't create it. It's checking that instance. If everything is there, it's not going to create it. Why, man? Did I change anything in user data? What is it? Oh, I kept. I'll do one thing. I don't want to do it again. For time being, let me keep it as. See, there is some change here. There is a change. It has a mechanism to identify the change. According to the change, it says I have to create a new instance. But I'm rolled back into my previous code. There are no changes in the user data now. It won't recreate that instance. See that? No changes, infrastructure is up to date. Okay.
There is no need to include like that. We need to, if there is some other file, we used to add, include those files like that, path of the file or something else. There is no need to do like that.
Which one?
Because variables file is in some other. Here we are directly calling the as a file. We call those files.
See what Terraform does, it loads all TF files from the directory. That's what I said. When you run Terraform apply, right, it will load this one, which is ending with .tf. It will also load this one, which is ending with .tf. That's what I said. File names, your choice. But the extensions must be .tf. So when you run the Terraform apply, it will search for all Terraform files in the directory, load them, and accordingly configure your infrastructure. Yeah?
So is there any specific execution plans? We are providing different TF files in the same location.
Order, not required. So there is no need to say key pair should come first, then only instance. I don't think so that such order is required in Terraform. It automatically, it has some order. Probably it loads all your variables first, then data sources, then resources. Everything is loaded first. So once it gets all the information, then it starts provisioning your resources. You can think of like that. There is no specific order to follow here. So wherever you want, keep it. Can I put variables into my instances file? Yes. When it loads everything, in the background it will make it segregating all the variables in the memory, all the resources, and all those stuff. Then it starts applying those plans. Order is not a matter.
One more thing, if I'm working for two instances, I will write two Terraform codes. I want one is ongoing. Still, I am not confident whether I need to add some more answer. I have other which is on. I can go for the live. If I have applied to a particular file, I need to apply for.
No, there is no option to apply to a specific file. No.
What are the changes?
Whatever present in the local, it will pick everything and apply it. There is no option saying Terraform apply only for 1.pf. No. Right. Yeah, variables now. Coming back to the variables. So it supports different types of variables. So one is string or text. This is a text. It also supports a list. It also supports a map. Terraform supports different types of variables. String, list, map. We'll see examples in all this. So fine. So this is string. So I want to use a map. So map in sense. So today, if I change the region, is it going to work? If I change this one to US West 1, will it work?
No.
What's the problem there? AMI ID is a different. So can I make it work just by changing the region? No. Can I do a coding to make it work? We can do that one. So what we can do is we can keep a map of AMI IDs. Region is the key. AMI ID is the value. See this one. One more change. This also hard coded. Don't put it here. It has to be under variable. What is that? Region, right? AWS region and names our choice. So how to access this there? Dollar open close var dot variable. So my point here is if I change the region, does my code work? No. Why? It fails because of this aim. But even if I change my region, I want to make this code work. So how to do that? I can go for a map. I can go for a map. And we're going to have key and values. Key is going to be the region and value is going to be the associated AMI. So when I supply the key, it is going to return back me the AMI ID. So even if I directly change this region, right, it's going to work for me. But now it doesn't work. Let me go and check the documentation for Terraform map. This is the syntax. AMIs. Type is map. Default equals open close. This is the key and this is the value. So I can say US West 2 is there and let's say US East 1. I want to support these two regions. I'm not showing the complete 15 regions there. So if you want to support 15 regions, you must put 15 key value pairs. So for US West 2, what's image ID? This is ID. For US West East 1, which is that East 1? For US East 1. this is ID. So likewise, sorry,
Which one?
reverse.
This one which you expect to this.
West to east 1, right? East 1. So you can create a big map of it with all the links. Now, the challenge is I should take this value from my instance. See this in my instance. Can I do this now? When I do this, it is going to return me complete map. But I don't want to get my complete map. So I want to get only one entry in that. So there is again function called as lookup. So using that function, specify the map and specify which entry you want in that map. Terraform lookup. See this. This is a function map the key. Let's say if key is not present, you can use some default value also. You're telling that if key not present, don't throw an exception. Go with default option. Let's use this code. So come back to this. This should be lookup. First entry is map, right? Where dot AMI. What's the second entry? Region. Okay. So AMI, we're using this lookup function. It's going to look up an entry from this map whose key is that region. So can I check what it's going to return before execution?
Yes.
So yeah, we can use that console and check. I'll come back to that. Terraform. So it should be inside quotes. Why it's returning there? 29E. If I use this one, or if I change this one to US East 1, then I need to exit and recome. I mean, I did some changes. What name is going to return now? See, early it was this one and this one. So when you change your region, it's automatically changing your AMI. If you want to take the code, this is a code for that. So variable name, type, default equals, open close curly brace, key, not in quotes, value is in quotes. But now it supports only two regions. The last one is list. We're done with string. You want the code?
When we are going to on lookup, we go to the variable file. We look for the map which we have written.
Correct.
On the map, there are two regions which we have.
Two entries.
Two entries. One is for east one and
Correct.
west two.
Correct.
Which will be executed.
See this code. This is the map. How many entries are there? Two entries. US west 2, US east 1. So what is this value now? Which one it picks? That's the one.
So can we make it dynamic?
Meaning? Yeah. Yes. Let's say I want to choose a region at runtime. Then remove this. Don't set the default value. And go and run the code now. So when you go and run the code, it will ask you for this region. Enter it, it picks that, and it executes it. If you don't see, I'm declaring a variable, but I'm not assigning the value for that. See this? Terraform, apply. Enter the values. It says where AWS region, enter the value. Accordingly, it will work. But in automation, we should not keep typing the values in the console. Everything should pick automatically from the file. Should I continue or what do you say? I thought of taking till 9 o'clock. Or shall we have a break and come back? Huh? Let's take a break. Why? Because
Sir, which is the best practice while we provide in the runtime values are
see, in automation, it should not be interactive. So when you say automation, it has to happen automatically. There should not be any interactive mode. Let's go for 10 minutes break. Not 10 minutes, 15 minutes break. So okay, even I want to move this provider part into separate file. So take this, create a file. So as I said, file name can be anything, but extension, that's all. So this particular file contains resources specific to instances, right? And this has a provider information. And this one has the variables, which is used by this particular project. We're trying to give a clear separation there. Next one, I want to create 10 EC2 instances. How? So I want to create 10 EC2 instances there. So what's the best, what's the elegant way of doing it? So one option, copy paste 10 times. The other option is count. There is a variable called as count equals, for example, 1. Again, don't hard code it here. They have to put this value in the variable. So before doing it, see this, my code is not properly formatted. See, one variable has equal symbol here, other variable has equal symbol here. It's not looking nice. The code is kind of scattered. I want to align it properly. There's a command for that also. Terraform FMT format. It's going to neatly format your code. See that now? See the alignments and all. The alignment is all the variables have a same place. That it's aligned properly for us. It's not about alignment. The command is Terraform FMT. See, previously it was like this, scattered at different places. After running this format, it's aligning your code into a proper, very good format. So count. So I want to create, let's say, 3 instances. So don't declare AWS instances 3 times. Instead, declare that one as a count. Again, don't keep it here like this. It has to be in the variable. So dollar where, let's say, count or instance count. So make sure you have declared this variable there. The where's so variable name, let's say 3. So this is kind of a loop. It's going to loop 3 times and it is going to create 3 instances. So when you have a loop, it's maintainable, that's all. So if you duplicate the code, it's not maintainable code. You should never duplicate the code. So we should keep it simple, short, and maintainable. Shall I go and run this? It's going to create 3 instances. Now, when it comes to tagging, right? For instance 1, I want to say Terraform 1, 7 a.m. 1. For instance 2, I want to say Terraform 2, 3, and so on. Even that can be done. Count dot index. Begin from 0, 1, and so on. So if you want it as 1, probably plus. See, what I'm telling you is this is a loop actually. So if your count is 5, it's going to create 5 resources for you. For all 5 resources, I don't want same name. I want something like Terraform 1, Terraform 2, Terraform 3, 4, and so on. For that, we are using this interpolation. In that, I'm referring this count and the index. For first resource, index is 0. Second resource, 1, 2, and so on. But I don't want to begin from 0. I want to begin from 1. That is also possible. Let me check. I didn't try this before. Plus 1. So for first resource, index is 0. Plus 1, which is 1. Second one, 1 plus 1, which is 2, and so on. Go and do the Terraform plan. That will tell you. Terraform. This is called as loop. This is called as a loop in Terraform. Two to add, 1 to change. It's going to add 2 instances and it's going to change 1 resource. What is that change? Any guess? Tag name. So let's go to the up. For instance 0, it is going to be Terraform 1. That's a tag name. For instance 1, Terraform 2. For instance 3, Terraform. Got it? This is about your loops. Check that part. So I added count and dynamically I am generating the tags also.
Can I pass an array of data?
Array of?
Array of data.
Come again, please.
Array of data. I used to have this matrix. like a dot a space 0, like that we used to have. Like that we can.
Yes, we can. Yeah. Let's say you want to give array, and for in that array you want to pick tags. We can do that also. Want me to do that? Okay. I will do. That's it. For count value, we didn't given as 3. Then how does it know it has to create 3 instances? We gave, see, this is a variable, right? I gave 3, right? Without telling 3, how it will know it is 3? Obviously, we need to tell that. I didn't mention it here. I'm referring a variable. Correct? In that variable, what's the value? 3. So it's going to create 3 instances for us. And coming to your point, you want to pick up the tags from the list. For 3 instances, declare a variable. Variable, let me call it as tags or instance tags. Type is list. Let's say Terraform 1 or any tags your choice. Terraform 2, Terraform 3. You want to pick from here, correct? Okay. So I'm declaring a variable of type list. So I can get the value from this list by passing an index. So if you come from development background, list is collection of values. So how to get a value from that list? By passing an index. A list index is always 0. It begins with 0. 0, 1, 2 till length minus 1. So I want to take values from here and substitute those values in my instance. That's your point.
This list concept is from Python?
Can be from Python, Java, .NET. Most of the languages they support list.
Can you come from that also? -1, -2.
We need to check it. Yeah, I got your point.
In Python, from backside -1.
You can find this. We'll see that. In Python there is slicing.
Starts from -1.
No, it can start from 0 and when reverse right minus. -5, -4, minus.
Initially, left to right starts with 0. Right to left
Starts with minus. Correct.
Can we use that?
No, I need to check that. There is a function again called as lookup. Lookup or element. No, lookup we use for map, sorry. Terraform element. I want to pick up an element from the list. The element, list and index. There is a function called as element. Specify the list and the index. It will pick up that specific value from that list. So I can use this element here. Element. It takes 2 arguments. One is the list. Where is that list? Var dot tags. That's the first argument. What's the second argument? Index. Count dot index. Confused? No worries. See. Let me take. See, I want to take an element from the list. We have three values there, three elements there. I want to take element from the list. The function is called as element. It takes two arguments. The first argument is reference to the list, which has list of values. Second argument is index. Index. Now, this is, see, what is this one there? List, right? The first argument I am telling this is a list. From this list, I want to take first element. I should pass 0. For taking second element, I should pass 1. Third element, 2. But it has to be dynamic, correct? I can say this also. But it's going to pick first element for all. I don't want that. So there is an option for us to say count.index. First time count.index is 0, it picks first element. Second time 1, second element. Third time count.index is 2, which picks third element.
If I want to start from the value 2
Plus 1. That's all right. The count plus 1. Currently it's at 0. He wants in the next line. So don't expect the complete programming kind of control. So in Java, .NET, Python, we'll have full control of it. But there might be some limitations here. Shall we apply and see? Error. This one. So it's going to pick the elements from that. Oh, this is not correct, sir. I want to remove this. It will say Terraform 1. Okay, no issues. See the Terraform 3, Terraform 2, Terraform 1. So if you want it properly, that's one. So don't worry about the depth of the concept. Don't worry about the depth of the concept. I'm talking, this is indeed, this is a deep direction. If I want to close this at high level, I can close this with 3 hour session. But my intention is not just to tell, I covered it. My intention is, you must get benefit out of it. The next thing. Okay, so we're done with the loops now, counting. So what is next? TF state, Terraform state. The next one. Terraform state. So I am saying Terraform is highly important. So how Terraform knows what resources it created? It's comparing, correct? It's comparing the resources in the account with some other values. If that resource exists, it's not creating it again. If the resource doesn't exist, it's going to create that resource for us. So how this happens? How Terraform knows it created so resources? Where that information is kept? That information is kept in Terraform state file. This is a file, terraform.tf state. This is automatically created. I didn't create these two files there. One is just .tf state, the other one is backup. That's the previous state. This is the latest state and this is the previous state. Let's open this file and see. What's that? It's a JSON file. It has something like version, Terraform version, some number, modules. Can you see resources there? That's the resource type, logical name, type of that resource depends on, and the ID. Can you see this ID? So how we uniquely identify EC2 instances? By the name? No. I can give duplicate names for multiple resources. That is identified by the ID. So when you say Terraform apply, it will pick all the resources in the local state file. It will go and check whether the remote state is matching this state file. If it is matching, it doesn't create it. If it is not matching, what it does now? It's going to update it or it's going to create it. See, all the values are kept here. Even it has AMI ID. Plus, this is your instance ID. Status, instance type. Everything is maintained here. If I change instance type in my code, so it will compare that code with this state file. So there is a change in this instance type. There is a change, it will know how to deal with that change. So if it can be updated, it will update it. I mean, if it requires recreation of instance, it's going to terminate the old one and it's going to launch the TF state. So this is a file where Terraform maintains the state of resources provisioned by your Terraform. It's a file where where Terraform maintains the state of resources which is provisioned by Terraform. I'll write it here. Yeah, there's a file which is storing the state of the resources. Your remote state is compared with the local file. If it is matching, don't reprovision it. If it is not matching, either update it. If it demands a new resource, terminate it and recreate it. If I delete state file, what happens? Is it going to recreate or not? So I will delete both. If I delete both the files, right? When you go and say apply, it will see all the resources you declared, and it will check for those resources in the state file. If nothing is present, what it understands from that? It has to create it. It's going to go and create those resources again for you. Remember, so we should not touch this Terraform state file. Don't manipulate this file. That should be manipulated only by your Terraform. We should not manipulate Terraform state files. We should not. So please remember that. Don't ever touch these guys.
Or suppose if I have deleted the .df file, whichever I had, variables or whatever it might be, I want to, there is one is latest, the other one is previous. I want to restore it back.
I don't think so. You have to manually do that.
We have JSON.
It doesn't have variables there, right? All the variables are substituted there.
Yeah. Through JSON we can execute, we can have it.
No. You can manually go and do that. That's all. Let's say deleted Terraform state files, which should not actually.
I'm not telling about the Terraform state files.
TF files.
Through JSON also we can run the instances. We
No.
can only for IAM.
No, you must have TF files. Without this, you can't execute.
We launch an instance, there are different ways. No? One is through JSON also we can have an instance. Through Python also we can
No, that's fine. Your point is, if you delete TF files, can you recreate it? Answer is simply no. If you delete this one, that's gone. You can't.
To the previous files which we have.
No, that's what I'm saying. No matter what is the case. If you delete your source code, then nothing. You can't do anything with the state file. So when you have a source code, then it's compared with state, then accordingly it will execute. If you delete your main source file itself, what is going to do? Nothing. Okay. Now, I want to delete a particular resource in this. I have 100 resources and I want to delete a specific resource from this. How? What is that? Comment. Put it in the comment. It's going to terminate. That's I want to take out this resource. Comment it and go and apply. So previously this resource was there. Now I removed it from my source code. So what happens now? It is going to remove this key pair. So obviously if it removes the key pair, your code will not work. So if you want to remove a specific resource, comment that resource and run Terraform apply. Let me do one thing. For demo purpose, let me create one more. Let's say I have 3 resources now, which is created by my Terraform, which is created by Terraform. 2 resources of type key pair and 3 resources of type instance because count is 3 there. Now I want to remove this resource from my account. There is no direct command for removing a specific resource. The only option is comment it and go and run Terraform apply. Whatever you commented, that resource is deleted from your account.
If I want to remove a particular instance
From this loop?
from this loop.
You tell me.
For I want to the Terraform to which you have created an instance. I want to terminate that.
So you can terminate last instance if required by making count as 2, right? So it will generate 0, 1, 2 is missing, so it's going to terminate it. But you may not get that full control from Terraform. It's not actual code, right? It's a descriptive language, you won't get that control in the Terraform. But there are ways for that. Write one more code and try to delete it. Create a separate folder, put the code with those values and try to run and delete all those things. So how to delete complete infrastructure, all resources? Terraform, destroy. This is going to clean up everything first. So when you add a comment, that is going to remove only that resource file. Terraform, destroy.
If somebody deleted was file, the variable should declare in one file. Somebody deleted that. That is how that.
So generally we maintain these things in version control. Git. Even if someone deletes, you can get it from the old version. We should not maintain these things on our local file systems. So it has to be kept in the version controlling tools like Git, Bitbucket, SVN, create, yes, kind of. Yeah. The last one before leave. there is a resource which is manually created. Let's say we created 9 resources by Terraform and 1 resource is manually created. This is the current status. So let's say some disaster happened to our current environment. I want to replicate everything in the different region. So what I do, I will change that region in the Terraform variable. I will go and say apply. When I go and say apply, is it going to create 10 resources or 9 resources? 9 resources. Why it won't create that one? Because that's not created by Terraform. It doesn't have that information in its state file. So because of that, that one is not created. How to bring that resource into Terraform scope? These are all real-time scenarios. See, initially we provisioned everything manually. But after some time, management decided we should go with Terraform. We started using Terraform for the new resources. But the problem is the existing resources are not in the control of Terraform. I want to bring them into Terraform control such that in disaster case, when you rerun this code in a different region, it has to create everything, not only the portion of resources created by your Terraform. There is an option called as Terraform import. You can import a resource which is manually created or which is created outside Terraform into the scope of Terraform. Terraform import. The count, let me keep it as 1. Fine. For demonstrating this particular example. See, this is created by your Terraform. What about this? Manual. So I want to bring this also into my Terraform control such that if I create my resources in different region, it has to create this one plus this one. So there is an option called as Terraform import. You can import a resource which is not created by Terraform into Terraform. That's the main. That's the idea. It may be created by Python, or manual, or some other mean. But I want that resource to be part of my Terraform. The procedure is this: Terraform import. So when you say Terraform import, before importing it, you must declare that resource. Resource, AWS, instance, some logical name, server one. Any name is fine. AMI. I should know what is the AMI used for this instance. So I believe it is same. So I need to specify instance type, copy paste work. Yeah, instance type is T2 micro and its key name is Idem. So right now I am hard coding, but you can declare that in the variable and reference. Sorry. Something like that. 1 second. Okay. This is the first step. So whatever resource created outside Terraform, I want to get that resource under the control of Terraform. First, declare that resource here. Declare that resource here. The second step is import it. So I need to get that remote resource details into my local state, right? Import it. The command is this: Terraform import. What's the resource type? What's the logical name you're using here? Server 1. What's the ID? ID of that instance. That is ID. So I'm telling my Terraform import AWS EC2 instance whose ID is this into this resource, which is declared in my Terraform file. I'm not sure about the syntax. I can get it from the documentation. Import usage. See that you can see everything in the documentation. First declare it, then do this one. So Terraform import resource type, logical name, and the ID. So I think ID no need to specify explicitly. Clear? So now that resource which is created outside, we got its details into our Terraform state file. But make sure everything is working fine. Sometimes it also recreates it. So how to check that? Terraform plan. That should give you the details. The one which we imported is perfect, or should we do any changes? It's refreshing this, and also this. Okay. So one to add. Let me see what is that one to add. User data. Okay. Maybe it has some user data. That I need to refer. If I refer that, it won't recreate it. Got it? Or still if you find with recreation, go with it. So it has some user data. That's the reason I'm not mentioning user data here. So if you see this one, I'm not specifying the user data, which is matching with my instance user data. If that is the case, it should work. Yeah, right? But we know how to import that resource created outside into this Terraform. So when you change your region, it's going to create this also for you, which was manually created before. And this is in the control of Terraform.